Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I think this is the first Sunday of this year, 2018. So, Happy New Year. I continue to talk on this text, Opening the Hand of Thought. In my record, this is 201st talk on this book. And I talk on one paragraph on page 118, if you have this book. Let me read this paragraph. In our day-to-day lives, it is often hard to know what course of action best expresses our bodhisattva vow, because circumstances pull us in contradictory directions. Going one way seems right, and so does going in the opposite direction. How do you choose between competing goods, plural goods? This is a very difficult problem. Most religious systems have a set of absolutes handed down by their God and tell you what is right or wrong. Buddhism has no absolute authority laying down the law. Instead, you yourself take up the way of a bodhisattva, living by vow and aiming at Buddha. Because this is such an important issue, and it always turns on the concrete details of the situation. I want to tell you a story at some length. It comes from Dogen Zenji's Regulations for Eihei Monastery, or Eihei Shingi, in the section entitled Regulations for the Officers, or Chiji Shingi. So from the next paragraph, Ucham Roshi is going to talk on this story from the Chiji Shingi. So this paragraph is a kind of introduction. Until this paragraph, he's talking about bodhisattva practice. He basically talks about Zazen practice. And Zazen practice is within Mahayana Buddhism. This is a bodhisattva practice. And he said bodhisattva practice has two sides. One is taking a vow, another is making repentance. That is a way we practice. And he said this one sitting, this Zazen, from one's perspective, this is a practice of vow, taking vow. And from another perspective, this one sitting is a practice of repentance. That is what he has been talking. And now he talks about more kind of a concrete day-to-day life, where we have to make decision, making choice. In order to making choice, we have to make distinction, this or that, and we need to think which is better. Therefore, I choose this and I don't choose that. That is how we have to do things. Without doing this, we cannot do anything. While we are sitting in the Zendo, that's okay, we can completely open the hand and thought and just being there. But in our day-to-day life, somehow we have to walk. In order to walk, we have to make a choice which direction we need to go. That is how what he's going to talk, using this example of the story from the Chiji Shingi. Actually, Chiji Shingi is a part of Eihei Shingi. Eihei means refer to the name, his temple, and Shingi is actually regulations, specifically in Zen monasteries. They in China, when they start Zen tradition, somehow, Indian Vinaya doesn't 100% work in Chinese culture and climate. So in Zen tradition, they create their own regulations within monastery. So when monks practice at certain monastery in Zen tradition, they have to follow these regulations. And Shin literally means clean or pure, and Gi is regulations or standard. So Taigen Leighton and I made translation of Eihei Shingi, and we translate this Shingi as a pure standards, and the title of the book is Pure Standards for Zen Community. And Eihei Shingi has 6 independent sections, and one of them is Chiji Shingi. Chiji means officers in the Zen monasteries. And Dogen, this Chiji Shingi is really interesting text. There are many koan collections in Chinese Zen, but this Shingi is a kind of a koan collection. The unique feature of this koan collection is all the koans are about how to work as a temple officer. There are 6 chiji, that is 6 main officers in the monastery, and those 6 officers has some more departments. So there are many positions, jobs within community, and Dogen then collect the koan stories about how those Chinese monks practiced as a temple officers or in other positions. So this koan collection is very kind of a concrete stories. It's not so much philosophical. That means when they are working in charge of some work, they have to make choice. And often, other koan stories, the koans often emphasis on going beyond discrimination, going beyond separation. We need to awaken to the reality of oneness. But while they are working as officers, they have to make choice. So this is another side of Zen practice. How mind of no separation and no discrimination can work in the day-to-day lives, where we have to make discrimination and make choice and actually do it. So this Chiji Shingi is not really like regular regulations. Usually Shingi or regulation is collection of what we should do and what we should not do. But this collection of koan is much more kind of juicy. There are a lot of nutrition. So, Okumura Roshi introduced one story from Chiji Shingi, about how we need to make distinction and make decision. But this section, this paragraph is a kind of introduction that we have to, he said, we have to make a choice. And often there are, how can I say, there are many choices we can choose. And it seems there are more than one good thing. You know, there are two or more good things, and we have to make choice. Or, you know, there are two bad things, and yet we have to make choose one of them. Or one is good, and another is not good, and yet I like these not good things, and I'm not so interested in this good thing. So there are so many things happening in our mind. And you know, in November Genzoe, we studied Shobo Genzo Katto. Katto literally means entanglement. Not entanglement is not real, not literal meaning. Katz is a name of a plant, and to is also name of a plant. Katz is kuzu. Do you know kuzu? It's a vine, and it has a bad name in Southern America. And to is wisteria. So both katz and to is a vines. And we use this word katto as this kind of situation we are always in. There are more than one possibilities we have to make choice, and it's difficult to make choice. So we have a struggle whether we should choose this one or that one. If we take this one, the sequence will be this, and so we have to make all possible kind of scenarios, best scenarios or worst scenarios, and we try to make middle way. Middle way can often means a most possible or concrete decision, in a sense, between two extremes. That is how the way we usually make choice. That is most concrete and, in a sense, most secure, safe choice. That is what Okumura Roshi is talking here. And this paragraph is kind of interesting to me, or almost mysterious. I mean, this Okumura Roshi talk about this story from Chizishingi. This is an older version of Opening the Hand of Thought. And this was, I think, published in 1993. That is the year I moved to Minneapolis. So I remember I had a book signing at a bookstore in Minneapolis. But several years later, this became out of print while I was in San Francisco. And one time, a copy of this book cost more than $100. So I think basically Jisho one of the editor of this book wanted to republish. So this is a revised version published from Wisdom. So I think mainly Jishowana made the revision, and one of the biggest change she made was she take out one section, one part of this book, that is section 10. And this section is a conversation between Okumura Roshi and Italian people. Italian people practice at Antaiji for 7 years, 6 or 7 years, and they were ordained. And when they returned to Italy, they visited Okumura Roshi and made some questions, and Okumura Roshi made the answer to that question, to their questions. And on that occasion, Tom Wright was there, and he translated what Okumura Roshi said to those Italian people. And Tom Wright transcribed and made a part of this book. And one of the questions Italian monks made to Okumura Roshi is, maybe you don't have this copy, but it's in page 1996. This is the 8th question from Italian. And the question is, in our community, we have a problem that keeps coming up. So they had some problem. Should we adhere strictly to the rules we've made to support our practice? Or should we sometimes bend the rules to take into account what people need? Which is the Bodhisattva way? This is a question. So their question is to practice in a community. They need certain rules, but such rules they made that did not necessarily work in all people and all times. So sometimes they think they need to change the rules or bend the rules or make exceptions because of the needs of the people. And their question is, which is the right way? We should strictly keep the regulations, or we can make exceptions depending upon the situation. That was their question. And Okumura Roshi said, in Dogen Zenji's Eihei Shingi, in the section entitled Chiji Shingi, or regulations for the officers, there is a wonderful story where the same kind of problem arises. So Okumura Roshi introduced this story from Chiji Shingi. And when I read this entire section about their conversation between Okumura Roshi and Italian monks, this paragraph doesn't appear. So this is a kind of an interesting question where this paragraph came. In this context of this revised version, Italian people's question doesn't fit. So probably Jisho or Tom Wright pick up this paragraph from other part of Okumura Roshi's writing, or they made up this paragraph in order to, as a kind of introduction of what Okumura Roshi is going to talk. I'm not sure, because as I said, this older version was out of print around 2000, and mainly Jisho worked on making this revision. That was around 2002 or 2003. That was the time I was in the process of moving from San Francisco to Bloomington. So I didn't have time to work with them. So, and this new version was published in 2004. The next year I moved. So until this is published, I didn't know what the new version looks like. So I have no idea where this paragraph came from. But I think this paragraph is relevant to make, to connect what he has, Ujjayi Roshi talking about Bodhisattva practice, and what Ujjayi Roshi talk about this concrete day-to-day practice in which we have to make choice based on the Bodhisattva vow. So to me this is kind of interesting paragraph. First he says, in our day-to-day lives, it is often hard to know what course of action best expresses our Bodhisattva vow, because circumstances pull us in contradictory directions. So, we walk a path of Bodhisattva practice, Bodhisattva way. That is, this is the time we are the bodhicitta, and we take a bodhisattva vows, and we start to walk on this path of bodhisattva practice. And the direction is Buddhahood. And it takes more than forever to go there. So this is not not really a goal. That's why I call it a direction. That means in whichever point we are, we need to walk that direction. But our actual life is not so simple. There are, too many, paths and directions, and in each time we have to make choice if we have to go this way or go that way, or if there is a shortest path or not, often not. So often we have to make a choice this way or that way. And one path, when we make one certain choice, this might be straightforward and kind of a shortcut, but it must be really difficult or dangerous. But if we take another path, it might be safer, but takes more time. And if we make a mistaken choice, somehow, in order to, instead of going there, we have to go somewhere else. So in each moment, almost each day or each moment, we have to make choice. Is there a straightforward path toward that direction, or we need to go this way or that way? That is actually how we actually live in our day-to-day lives. And what Ujjayi Roshi is saying in this paragraph is, we have to make this choice by ourselves. That is what he's saying. This is a very difficult problem. Most religious systems have a set of absolute, handed down by their God that tell you what is right or wrong. I'm not sure if Okumura Roshi really said this or not. But something close to this is said by Okumura Roshi in this version. That is in page 191, Okumura Roshi says, Zen Buddhism does not recognize any authority outside of the self. This is a traditional way passed down from Shakyamuni, who himself in his final teaching said to his disciples, take refuge in self, take refuge in Dharma, do not take refuge in anything else. So probably what he's saying came from this sayings by Shakyamuni. We have to take refuge in ourselves. So even though we take our four bodhisattva vows, that is not our desire, but that is given and we offered these four vows, and we take as my decision. That is very important. This is my decision. I have to make this decision. That is why when I give the precept, I have to ask if the recipient really wish to receive this. No one can force other people to receive this precept. So I have to ask, are you ready? And even in the day before the ceremony, the recipient come to my office and made three prostrations, and they asked me to allow us receive the precept. So receiving or not receiving is up to us. So there is no way someone have to become a Buddhist or being forced by someone else to become a Buddhist. Buddhism is not a folk religion. In the case of folk religion such as Shintoism in Japan, when we are born, it's automatically Shintoist, belongs to a certain shrine in that area. I think Judaism might be the same. Only Japanese can become a Shintoist. There's no way, people from other countries become a Shintoist. And yet, whether we like or not, we have to be there. But Buddhism is not such a folk religion. So we have to make decision or make a determination. I wish to accept what Buddha taught or Buddha's precept as the guideline of my life. So our intention and determination is very important. And after we receive the precept and to start to live based on bodhisattva vows, still we have to make choice. Of course, the direction is those four vows, but what we should do or we can do in each situation, depending upon who I am or what I can do, depending upon my intention and capability. The possibility is not so many. So we have to make choice. What is the best thing in this situation for this person? So there's no, how can I say, order came from the authority above us. For example, when I started to practice Tantaiji with Okumura Roshi. He encouraged me to study English, and I couldn't say no, so I said yes. But Okumura Roshi said at the same time, if this is too difficult for you, you can quit anytime. So it was not the order, but I call it encouragement, because he encouraged me and I accepted that is my decision. So I need to take responsibility about this decision, that I decided to study English. That poor decision made the decisive influence, or almost decided the rest of my life. That's why still I'm talking, I'm here and speaking in English, and that makes my life really difficult. But anyway, that was my responsibility. I took that responsibility, so I tried to be responsible to the decision I made when I was 22. So when we have to make choice, we have to make choice with our own responsibility. And sometimes we make a poor decision, sometimes the decision worked well. But this decision should be based on the 4 Bodhisattva vows. And we have to make concrete, we have to see the concrete possibility that I can do based on those 4 Bodhisattva vows, depending upon who I am and what the situation I am living. That is how I have been making choice or make decision in my life after I was ordained and become Okumura's disciple. I tried to find what is the best choice, at least better choice. And sometimes it's really difficult to make choice. So this is a kind of a combination of making choice and not discriminative. Our basic practice is going beyond discrimination, no separation, no preference. Without having preference, how can we make choice? That is really a difficult koan. And one thing I'd like to talk this morning is about this making choice based on no discrimination. Is such a thing possible or not? And I have been translating and making a short comment on Dogen Zenji's waka until December last year. And from this month, I introduce Dogen Zenji's Chinese poems, 1 poem each month. Dogen Zenji wrote about 60 waka poems. And we are not sure if those 60 waka poems were really written by Dogen, by himself or not. Anyway, but Dogen wrote many more Chinese poems. More than 400 Chinese poems was composed by Dogen. And all of them are part of Eihei Koroku. Eihei Koroku is Dogen's extensive record. So if we want to read Dogen's Chinese poems, we have to read the entire text of Eihei Koroku. and that was really difficult, even for Japanese, because Ehe Koroku was written entirely, completely in Chinese. So, unless we are very well educated and long experienced practitioner, we cannot really read entirety of Ehe Koroku, even in Japanese, in Japan. So, once important Japanese Soto Zen master, whose name was Menzan, selected 150 Chinese poems from Ehe Koroku, and I think he also made a commentary on those Dogen's Chinese poems, and entitled this collection of Dogen Chinese poems as Kuchugen. Ku is phrase, and chu is within, and gen is profundity. So profundity expressed within phrases. Usually profound truth or reality is beyond wording, beyond language. So it cannot be expressed or explained using language. But these, from the time of Shakyamuni, Buddhism used poems, and that poems or verses is more kind of not easy, but effective way to express that Dharma, that or profundity of Dharma, because it not really logical or conceptual. So that is the meaning of this title of this collection of Dogen Waka poems. And this month I wrote, I introduced the first Chinese poem of Dogen from this collection. And the title of the first Chinese poem by Dogen in this collection is Kankyo. Gusaku. Kankyo means, kan means not busy and quiet, and kyo is abiding or living. So quiet and not busy life. And in Dogen's biography, while he stayed in a hermitage in Fukakusa before he established his own monastery, Koshoji, was called Kankyo. He lived in a quiet way, and because he didn't have a sangha, he was not so busy. And this poem is about the life he spent when he was not busy and in a quiet place. The title of this poem, according to Menzan, is an impromptu work during the time of leisurely seclusion. Leisurely seclusion is translation of Kankyo. And this Chinese poem, you will read this in the new e-newsletter this month. The poem is as follows. This is a translation from Dogen's extensive record. So this translation was made by Taigen Layton and myself. It said, though settled, no longer picking up or discarding. At the same time, before me, myriad things appear. Within Buddha Dharma, from now on, seeking minds abundant. After this, my activity will just follow conditions. Let me read this again. Though settled, no longer picking up or discarding. At the same time, before me, myriad things appear. Within Buddha Dharma, from now on, seeking minds abundant. After this, my activity will just follow conditions. Though settled, though he said, though settled means no longer picking up or discarding. Picking up and discarding is shu sha. Shu is the same kanji as one of the 12 links. That is upadana, means clinging. And the sha is the opposition of clinging. When we don't dislike something, we want to push or we throw it away. That is what shu sha means. So this being settled down means he has no longer picking up or discarding. He is free from such discrimination and picking and choosing. But he said, though, that means even he has no picking and choosing. Still, at the same time, before me, myriad things appear. Everything is appear in front of him, and things are moving and changing. So he has to also move and change. How can we, to do so as we think, we have to make choice. How can we make choice without picking and choosing? Or in this case, picking or discarding? How can we make such a choice without picking and discarding? Is the main point of this poem. Within Buddha Dharma, Buppo, from now on, seeking minds abundant. So, as Okumura Roshi have been saying, the energy we take this path and practice and take a walk is not a seeking mind. But Okumura Roshi said that is an energy or driving force of vow. The vow is an energy that allows us to walk this direction. So personally, he has no picking and choosing anymore. That means he has no seeking mind. And yet he said, after this, my activity, so even he doesn't have picking and choosing, and he has no seeking mind anymore. Still, he needs to do active. And how can be active? How can we take actions without picking and choosing? And what he said is, after this, my activity will just follow conditions. Follow is zui. And condition is en. Zui, en. Zui is means follow. That same zui in Zui Monkey. Zui Monkey is a record of Dogen's informal talks recorded by Ejo. And this Zui means the following the order of what Dogen said. Ejo recorded. So this Z is to follow. And N is same N in and N. In is cause and N is conditions. As I said, I often said, in the case of a plant, a seed is in or main cause. And in order to this seed sprout and grow, there are many conditions need that support this seed to grow. So what Dogen is saying is he is a seed. He has energy. That energy is vow or way-seeking mind, or in Okumura Roshi's expression, life force. In order to express or manifest his life force, based on, in the case of bodhisattvas, we have to follow the four bodhisattva powers. So his making choice is not his personal desire or idea or preferences, but the seed cannot sprout and grow without conditions, without support from the conditions. So cause and conditions working together as in Dogen's expression, total function or Zenki. So what he's saying is, as a seed, of course, we have to make choice depending upon the conditions. So we don't, what he's saying is he doesn't fight against the conditions, but work with the conditions. This is really kind of a subtle point that we don't have personal preferences. Still, we make choice. We have to make choice, and this choice came from how this total function can work. That means how this seed and all other elements within the network of interdependent origination, how this can work most harmoniously. When we have a personal preferences, we always want to control the conditions and try to make me more important or stronger, or fulfill my desire. To do so, I want to control the conditions, or at least fight against the conditions. But what he's saying is, in order to express his Buddha nature or life force based on those four bodhisattva vows, he worked together with the conditions. So here, this is the way, this non-discrimination, non-preference, and making choice can work in a very kind of a subtle balance. Unless we are careful and mindful, we make choice even though that is because for the sake of Dharma. It came from my desire. So we have to be really careful and examine what is this motivation or driving force or energy came from. Is this from my vow or my karma? It's really subtle point. Actually, these two can be the same thing, or actually the same thing. So to live as a bodhisattva in this way is really a subtle thing, because we are still, as Uchamura said, bodhisattva is ordinary human beings which walk toward the direction of Buddha. So we are still ordinary human beings. That means we still have karma. We cannot erase or extinguish our karma. We cannot be 100% new. But somehow we have to accept our karma and have to use this karma, this condition, for the sake of Dharma. So within the part of this karma, I have my preferences. So having preference is part of my karma. So it's really subtle and profound. So we need to really see that deep layer of our life, really happening within my mind, and examine where this came from. So I think our zazen is really a foundation. That means within our zazen we cannot hide anything. So if we are deceiving ourselves, we see we are deceiving ourselves. Or we can deceive other people, but we cannot deceive ourselves. In our thinking we can do, but in our zazen we cannot, because we need to, or we are open our hands. That means we have no, how can I say, we cannot make choice. Which part of me come up? What kind of things stored in our mind come up? So let them come and let them go. Open our hand means we have no choice. Which part of me? It can be very ugly part of me come up, but we cannot suppress it, make choice. But somehow we have to accept it. That is why we cannot make, how can I say, we cannot deceive ourselves in our zazen, within, beyond thinking. We cannot deceive. If we deceive, that is what is happening in our mind. So, and we can see clearly what is going on in our mind. So, to see, to make a decision within certain situation between me and the all conditions, we have to be clearly see what is happening deep in ourselves. And our Zazen practice is, in a sense, it's not a method or means, but allow us to really see deep in ourselves. Especially when we sit in a long session, like a 5-day session. Next week we have a 3-day session. But when we sit 14 hours a day for 3 days, 5 days or 6 days, in the beginning we try to control our mind and make it peaceful. But after for a while, we become tired of doing such a thing, and we cannot do it. So there's no such kind of what we call like a bulb. So anything can come up even from when I was like a baby. I have no memory even in our mind, in our thinking mind. I have no such memory, but somehow things come up even from that time of my life. and often we have fear when such things come up. But within our zazen, we know this is safe. We can let them come and let them go. So our zazen is really a kind of a basis to not see as an object, but to experience who I am and what has been going on within ourselves, and also between me and other things, without trying to make control. So if we can settle down on this zazen, this is non-discrimination. But on that foundation, when we have to do things, we have to make discrimination and make choice, which is most best way to do, which action is best thing to do for me and for other people or things within this situation. Well, this is what I have to say today. So from next time, next week we have sessions, so we don't have Dharma talk. But next time I start to talk on the story which Roshi introduced from Chidi Shinki. Okay, any question or comment?
I have a quick question that's not related to the topic that we've discussed. Mm-hmm. So, does the concept of bodhicitta arising in a human being and then making the choice to follow the path of the bodhisattva, is that only in Mahayana Buddhism?
I'm not sure, because I don't know much about Theravada Buddhism or Tibetan Buddhism. I think in Tibetan Buddhism, bodhicitta is really important. But is there such a word in Theravada teachings?
There's citta and there's...
Citta is mind in general.
Yeah, mind, heart.
Yeah. So what do they call this kind of aspiration to become a Buddhist and continue to practice?
I don't remember it coming up, not nearly with the same clarity and importance as here.
That is really interesting.
Yeah.
I think the first, in a kind of a text, this word bodhicitta is used is the Jataka.
Oh, is it?
When the Shakyamuni Buddha in the past, one of the past lives, he was named Sumedha, and he allowed bodhicitta to aspiration to become Buddha instead of to become a Buddhist monk and enter Nirvana. Probably that is the first example of arousing bodhicitta.
And was that written before?
Before Mahayana.
Yeah, so after the Theravadan tradition had already...
Yeah, Jataka is part of Pali Nikaya, right?
It is, yeah.
So, but that is a story about Buddha's past life. And in that collection of stories, Bodhisattva is only one person, Shakyamuni, in his past lives. And in his final life, before he became Buddha. Bodhisattva means this person.
Yeah.
But
so not us.
No. In Mahayana Buddhism, Mahayana Buddhists start to think if we allow the same aspiration, that is called bodhicitta, then all of us are bodhisattvas. Because we allow the same aspiration, same bodhicitta. In the future, it is sure we become Buddha.
After forever.
Sooner or later. That is a very basis of Mahayana teaching. So I am not sure if in Theravada or early Buddhism there's such a is this aspiration is called.
Mm-hmm.
There must be some word.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else? Okay, thank you very much.